Sheriff Darnell from Alachua County, the immediate past president of the Florida Sheriff's Association, and Sheriff Smith from Bradford County as our guest here today. And our guest of honor, Senator Rob Bradley. We want to present him something, but I'm going to turn the program over to Sheriff Darnell as our past president to do the honors and make the presentation.
Thank you.
Sheriff?
Thank you, Sheriff Beseler, and also for hosting this wonderful recognition event. And Sheriff Smith, all of us know how important and vital having such a tremendous senator and leading in front and also having our backs when we need it in Tallahassee. Senator Bradley has been instrumental in the rewrite of the sexual offender bill. He also fought for funding for the sexual battery kits to be tested. He has been a friend to law enforcement over and over. He was very supportive and helpful during the Scott Pine bill that was able to go through this past legislative session. It was a struggle, but it got through, and it is in large part to Sheriff Demings and as well as Senator Bradley and many other people who were instrumental in that bill. And he also, especially speaking from a Alachua County standpoint, his work on the compassionate use bill with the medical marijuana took the air out of the balloon of some many high-powered, deep-pocket kinds of people that wanted to push through recreational marijuana in the state. So that legislative action really took the steam out of that movement, which our president at the time was Sheriff Grady Judd. So he had to deal with that, but it made it pretty much a non-issue. Now, I know it'll come back up, but from the standpoint of us in law enforcement, and especially in light of these times, having someone who understands, law enforcement understands the sacrifices that are made every single day, every single shift. As a prosecutor, he has been a good friend to law enforcement and to victims, and we need him to stay at our Capitol. My biggest regret and my disappointment is, I feel it so strongly today, is that he no longer represents Alachua County. I don't know how that happened, but I understand the League of Women Voters in Alachua County had something to do with it, so I got to deal with that. But he's around and near and works in the neighboring county, so I'm sure that our paths will cross, and I know that I will see you in Tallahassee. But on behalf of all the sheriffs, thank you so much for the work that you have done in Tallahassee. As part of what we do, we pick out of all the senators and the representatives in the state, we as the Florida Sheriff's Association select the brightest and the best. And we have chosen Senator Rob Bradley to receive the Legislative Champion Award for 2016. It's presented to Senator Rob Bradley in appreciation for support of legislation that assists sheriffs of Florida in better serving the citizens of our state. Signed by me as president of the Florida Sheriff's Association. I am so proud to know you. Thank you.
I tell you, I just want to take a moment of personal privilege to talk about three people here that I've gotten to know really well over the last 4 years of my service that have really just so deeply impressed me, and they've become personal friends in the process. I'm from Clay County. I grew up in Clay County in Green Cove Springs, just down the road from where we stand right now. And so I've known Sheriff Beseler really my whole life in one way or the other, even though we weren't, he has a daughter who I graduated from high school with. I didn't want to talk about age, Beseler. So we're from a little bit different generations, but Sheriff Beseler took over the Clay County Sheriff's Office 12 years ago and has had an absolutely incredible, distinguished career in protecting all of us in Clay County, including my family. There's a lot of Bradleys around, just like there's a lot of old families around. And I just wanted to, on your retirement, I wanted to publicly thank you so much for the job that you've done in protecting us all and really setting a standard that others around the state and the country can emulate. So thank you so much, Sheriff. There's a couple of other people that we have Sheriff Darnell here, who Alachua County is a different place. It's not Clay County. The politics in Alachua County are very different. But law enforcement all across the state would be so proud of how Sheriff Darnell conducts herself in such a very difficult environment. All of the things that you see going on in the world right now in our country when it comes to law enforcement, she's on the front line of that very delicate, awkward dialogue that is happening right now. And there's a lot of, it's a place where there's a lot of protest, a place where there's a lot of sometimes dialogue that is uncomfortable. And Sheriff Darnell continues to go to work every day, and the men and women under her command go to work every day and make us all proud, those of us who understand how that thin blue line, how critical that is, the difference between law and order and chaos.
That's true.
So your unique perspective and what you have to do just always earns my undying respect. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.
And I'm very disappointed I'm losing Alachua County, but once a Gator, always a Gator.
All right, good.
And I'll always be around there. And I just want to say very clearly that, for what it's worth, I am 100% behind Sheriff Darnell and her reelection campaign. And I'd shout that from the rooftops. They need her as their sheriff. And I know she's in the middle of a race right now, so
thank you.
I couldn't support you more. Another person that's up here today that I've gotten to know is Gordon Smith, who's the sheriff of Bradford County. One of the most amazing things about what we have here in Northeast Florida is a cooperation and a cooperative spirit amongst the law enforcement agencies. I know that the sheriffs all talk about having no borders, and you have some of these communities like in Melrose and such, where we don't know exactly I'm still not sure where the border begins and ends in some of these communities. But you do not see that everywhere, and it's easy to take it for granted. But when you have leaders like Sheriff Smith who say we're not going to play games with people's safety and people's lives, then it happens very naturally. And I've gotten to know Gordon. He's got a strange political environment in Bradford County as well, but he's incredibly popular. And the reason he's popular is because those folks in Stark and in Bradford County know that he's got their back. And that he's going to do a great job, and I couldn't be prouder than to support Gordon Smith in his reelection campaign also. And we're in political season, so I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, that's something I strongly support and am proud to do so. The reason is because it works. Law enforcement is doing its job. And I get so frustrated sometimes when I see some of the rhetoric that is out there right now. We're at a crossroads as a country, and I want everyone to know here that there are people, sometimes you hear rhetoric in the media, and sometimes, unfortunately, from elected officials in positions of leadership that does not convey to you the deep sense of appreciation that many of us have for what the men and women in law enforcement do every day. I tell you, I can't tell you how much I appreciate how much y'all do. You put your lives on the line for us every day, and I'm not alone over there. Sometimes it feels that way when you turn on the news, but I promise you, it's the public's behind you, and people are starting to take notice and rise and say, you know what, it's not enough to just go about your daily life. We need to make sure everybody understands how much we love and appreciate our law enforcement officers, and we need to stand up and say that, and I'm here to say that today too. This is a wonderful honor, and thank you so much, and I look forward to working with the sheriffs. I got reelected, so for 4 more years, and I will always have your back, I promise.
Thank you. We're so glad. 4 more years.
Rob said a lot of nice things about us, and I wanted to get a moment for rebuttal. He is a native son of Green Cove Springs of Clay County, and one of the things that makes Rob so effective in Tallahassee and why he won this Legislative Champion Award is because he has the ability to get consensus. He can bring different sides of an issue together, and I know he's been the problem solver that the Florida Sheriff's Association has turned to when we've got a difficult issue and we need someone to bring together both sides of the fight and come out with something that we can all live with. And I think that's Rob's strong point. I've told him already that I want to see him run for governor one day. I'm going to head up his Clay County campaign if he does. And the thing that impressed me most about him was when he was 16 years old, he took the Clay County Sheriff's Office to task and won. He got a ticket in Orange Park at the intersection of Blanding and Kingsley that he made a left turn in front of the high school during a school zone, and there was a little sign we used to roll out there back in the 80s or 90s saying no left turn. Well, he took that case to court, handled it pro se as a kid in front of a judge, and said, "Judge, the sign is supposed to be so many inches tall off the ground, and it wasn't. And I'm innocent by virtue of that." The judge threw the case out. He beat the Clay County Sheriff's Office. But here we are giving him award today. But I knew at that moment that he was going to be somebody one day. And I'm so proud to call him my friend and my senator. And we're so glad you were reelected again without opposition. And congratulations, and do a great job. We look forward to where you go in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. In this political environment, as we look out across the country and see what happens all over the place, and we learn about politics and politicians, a lot of people say a lot of things. There's one thing you can say about Senator Bradley, and that's he's real. And he knows one thing: they don't want rhetoric anymore. We're tired of the rhetoric. You know, he gets results, and that's what makes him real. He's a real person. He says what he means. He does what he says. He walks the walk and he talks the talk. And I can tell you, going back and forth to Tallahassee, you find very few people that are elected to go to Tallahassee that do that. And that's what makes Senator Rob Bradley special in my book. And he is right. In my part of the country, it's a little different than Clay County. Well, there's still parts of Clay County like Bradford County left still as y'all are growing. But over in our country, we call it, we say what we say. We mean what we say, and we walk the walk. People like plain old-fashioned honesty. And that's what makes Rob Bradley special to me. And I want to say thank you. Thank you. And that means a lot. Thank you for all you do for law enforcement and the men and women that wear this, as we call it, the thin green line. Because we are elected officials. We're elected by the people we serve. And that makes us a little unique. And being responsible as the chief law enforcement officer in our county to ensure that our counties are safe. And we live by a simple motto where I'm from: we won't sleep so you can. And we keep that. And thank you for upholding us and supporting us in everything we do, because we do make a difference. Thank you. And we couldn't do it without you. Thank you.